Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match Podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-host.
Brad Sloan.
Back in the house, baby.
Back in the house, baby. Happy
Let's
times,
go.
man.
Let's
Happy
go.
times. Like,
Yes.
it's been a
Yes, we
good
got.
last couple days.
So this is just like a warm-up, right, for our mega pod tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pure recap pod, right? We're just going to talk like some tennis analysis and stuff. Like, we're not going to go into, so like, I'll say that up front. We're not going to do any betting like stuff here. So, like, if you're
Well, we'll
somebody who
talk
wants picks,
finals tomorrow.
yeah, we're going to talk two finals tomorrow, Eastbourne and Mallorca. That'll be the last probably 10, 15 minutes of the pod. If you're somebody who wants picks for Wimbledon, this is not the right pod. So just putting that out front. We'll clearly title that in the top pod title, etc. But we also like to have a wing of our pod that's like analysis based, and we're splitting them for this because honestly, if we did analysis and Wimbledon in the same pod, it'd be insane.
It would. I mean, tomorrow's going to be insane regardless, right? But
tomorrow's gonna be like. But honestly, I love the pre-Wimbledon pod. Like the pre-Wimbledon pod is like the best pod of the year.
it is because we get literally all 64 first-round matches, right? We don't have to like wait for qualifiers to be placed, right? It's all there. So it should be great. Unfortunately, we don't have a guest tomorrow, which is sad. We tried to get our friend Josh from last year. We tried to get Newmark bets. We tried to get tidbits, but everyone is doing their own content. Everyone's busy. So we understand, right? Like it's life.
Honestly, again, it just goes to how much like and Wimbledon's the best at it, man. You mentioned Wimbledon's the best at it, and still we have literally 2 days reasonably to put a pot out. Like it's like we could have put a pot out. We actually it's not even. There's only one day we could have put a pot out tomorrow night. That was the only option.
Yeah, it's too bad. But that's tennis content for you.
Hard life, right?
I know, and it also sucks that we work full time, right? So like we can't pod in the middle of the day, right? Like we always pod late and stuff, but we're trying to grow it. You know, it's we have what?
But honestly, I'd say
now?
like that's part of it. But honestly, it's just like it's really fucking hard to have a tennis podcast.
It is. It's hard.
Especially based on gambling, because a lot of times these lines come out like 8 hours before the match, and like if that's the time that you use, like, so okay, if the lines come out 8 hours before the match and we're gonna pod for an hour or two, like how much time are people reasonably gonna have? So for slam pods, we definitely try to give at least 24 hours. For the other pods, it's tough. And like we apologize to viewers, you know, it's tough. It's just tough. Like we can try to timestamp better and I think
and we acknowledge that, like, I think the best way to do this is probably like write-ups, right? And we try to do like mini write-ups and like logic videos on our posts on X, but you know, it's tough since we work full time and like we're trying the best we can, but we appreciate the 1,600 followers we have now, which is like more than I ever would have thought. So
honestly, man, I thought we were gonna have like 30. Like I thought it was gonna be like man so like and honestly that's 1,600, not even counting like people who have you know, like X actually does go and clean out our followers, so it's not just like random bots.
Right.
Like our crew of 1,600 strong is actually like I don't want to say 1,600 is strong, but like it's 1,600 I think pretty real people.
And to be on a Discord also where we're like what the top three or like the three administrators, right? Like I think quite a few people look at the Discord, right? I was actually surprised by how many people are included in that.
Yeah, and that the Discord's a lot of fun too, especially during the slams. I feel like we get a lot more like good fun chatter going because like the cool thing about the slams, like the challenger tour calms down a little bit, and like there might be challenges, but like nobody's watching. Everybody's watching the slam, right? Like the first week of slams are fantastic.
They are. They are.
Second week actually gets a little boring, but first week of slams is fantastic.
It is. It is. So let's get into the tennis. So Eastbourne and Mallorca, how was the betting for you this week?
Pretty good. I mean, like week didn't start great, but like last 2 days have been fantastic. I think I'm up like 20 units in the past 2 days, 15, 20 units in the past 2 days.
Nice.
And we have our Tabilo futures live for tomorrow.
I'm pumped up for tomorrow, man.
And Tabilo's the favorite, and he really should beat Offner, man.
He really should. I mean, I guess
he could lose it. He 100% could lose, but he should win.
But this is Offner's first ATP final, I believe. And
I think so, yeah.
He does have a choking tendency, Offner.
Yeah.
I'll always remember that when he was up like 6-1, 5-love against Molchan and choked it in his home country.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's just
Like
a
that
different
was
match.
just horrendous, dude. That was
Yeah.
so bad, you know? Um, so I don't trust Offner. Like even today against Jubb, like he tried to give it away late in that match, right?
A little bit. I'm kind of in between on that. Like I did watch it. I thought like, you know, yeah, I don't know. He did serve pretty well at the end. Like his serve has been working really well this week, and that's been helping him out a lot. But I hear you. And it was enough previewing Matt Manny. You're out of order. We preview the matches at the end.
Sure.
But yeah, I guess we can start with Mallorca.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest takeaway is like, thank God this event is going away. Like this event just sucks. So, I've never seen like I know there's bad bounces on grass court. I've never seen a court with so many bad bounces.
It's bad. It's bad.
Like there's like Santiago is known for the bad bounces for being like just shitty courts, but like it's embarrassing how bad the center court at Mallorca is. Like it's a center court in ATP tournament. Like I understand if the outer courts are kind of crappy, like that happens. But like the center court should be like the golden star of your tournament.
Right. Right. I mean,
And like the grass, it's hilarious because like
grass.
that grass looks so pristine at the beginning of the event, and then it looks like so like when you compare it to Eastbourne, like the Mallorca grass, like day 1 and day 2, looks like something out of a movie. It looks like so like pristine and so perfect, and then by day 6 it looks terrible.
It does. It does.
Whereas like the Eastbourne grass, like it looks not as good on day 1, but like it looks like a reasonable, like worn down grass court on day 6. Whereas Mallorca, it's got like random, like almost like things that look like holes in it. Like,
well, I mean that's my take kind of with these grass courts is like I think that England, right? Like they know how to maintain a grass court, whereas anyone else in the world doesn't. Right? Like Halle, Stuttgart, Mallorca, like they all do such a shitty job of maintaining their grass courts, honestly.
they do.
Like if you think about Queens, Wimbledon, even
Yeah.
Eastbourne, like the grass courts are so much better. Add Newport to the list of shit. Right? Like that's a crappy grass court as well. So it's like I feel like only in England they know how to like truly manufacture and maintain a proper grass court. You know?
I agree. I agree.
So, like
it's funny that we started the pot out with court. Like that's so sad when we started the pot out like a tournament just being like complete shit. But like honestly, that's where you have to start.
Yeah. And like if I was playing Wimbledon, right, like I would not play Halle or Stuttgart or Mallorca. I would be playing in Queens because like those grass courts resemble what you're gonna see at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a player, I would play. Well, but I think it's why you see it, right? Because if you look at the list this year like, yes, part of the reason why like there were so many more tie breaks in Stuttgart and Halle was that the courts play faster. 100% agreed. But there's also a significant chunk of it that's like I don't know if you see the entry list, but like it's bigger servers and not grass court ralliers, like not quick dudes that play Halle and Stuttgart. Because I think they realize that. Like, I think one of my takeaways from this week, also from the grass, especially Eastbourne, is that like a big part of grass is like being quick.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily athletic. Not necessarily like there's a difference between all these terms. Like there's a difference between being athletic and being quick. And we'll get to that when we talk about Eastbourne in a second. I guess like staying with Mallorca, another disappointing result on a non-hard court from Ben Shelton.
I'd agree with that.
Right? Like you should not lose to Paul Jubb.
No.
Like,
I mean, you made the point that he was like slightly injured, right? But
it seems it like that is pure speculation on my part. But we see him in the sleeves, not, like he used to have like the cupping marks on his arms. We see him in the sleeves now. Also, I think and I haven't seen any recent data on this, but I saw somewhere a few weeks ago that his serve speed was down, and he just seems to not be
But serve speed with him wouldn't matter if he would place it better.
100% agreed, Manny. That's my problem with him. Is like he's honestly he's like the analogy here to another sport is the pure fastball pitcher who has no idea how to pitch.
It's a good analogy. That's what Shelton is.
Like,
and if he's struggling with his stuff, like they're gonna hit it, out of the ballpark like time and time again, right? And like they're gonna lose badly to scrubs.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yeah.
All Major League Baseball players can hit a ball straight in the strike, like middle of the strike zone, right? Like,
and honestly, that's the same of a lot of these, like especially the better returners in the ATP tour are the same way. Like if it's in the middle, like he can serve at 130. If it's in the middle of the box, it's a makeable return.
100%, 100%. I mean, even when I'm returning, like I actually sometimes prefer when they hit it hard, but it's like in my strike zone, and I could just like use the pace and block it back. Like,
oh, it's so fun when somebody slams like 100+ mile an hour serve in your strike zone. It's fantastic because if you hit it clean, it comes back so fast and like they're so surprised. It's amazing. Like
it is,
yeah,
but
I
agree with guys, like on a
like,
pro level. I mean, that's me talking, right? Like who's barely a 4 or 5 player. Like if you compare it to a professional, like they're gonna crush those balls.
yeah,
with the strength technology nowadays. So like, I mean, we talked about it a lot. Shelton has a lot to learn, but his serve it should be a way bigger weapon than it is, especially
it should be. It should be.
And like, he's not bad at the net, right? He's plays an aggressive game where he can approach. He's quick, right? Like,
oh, he's an incredible athlete. Like athletically, he checks all the boxes.
And like, he should be good on grass, right?
Yeah,
like
he should be. He should be amazing on grass, to be honest.
Like his strengths kind of suit grass.
They do. They do.
Yet he just like can't figure out a way to do it. Like, do you think it's more that he sucks on grass, or he's like just in a rut right now? Like, what do you?
I actually think it's more the second, Manny. My take on this is I don't think it's a grass court issue.
Okay.
I think something's wrong, and that I'm not saying he's necessarily injured when I say that, but I'm saying like something's wrong in his game. Because like he's just not. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Like it's just not there right now. Like
it's the point construction too. Like once the ball gets in play,
I think that the problem is if he's not absolutely smacking winners every other point, he's got nothing else.
Yeah. I feel like he's trying to implement more. I was watching a little bit of the match with Jove, and like I feel like he's trying to implement some variety and use some backhand slice, but he's just like, he doesn't have very good feel, right? It's just raw athleticism and power. But like when he has to improvise and when he has to kind of use like, some guile, like it just doesn't work.
I agree. I agree.
Like I think that's a big part of men's tennis in like the difference between men's tennis and women's tennis is like the ability to improvise in uncomfortable situations. And I think that's part of the reason which makes men's tennis more advanced. Like that's why their UTRs are 16 and the women are 13.
It's the biggest difference is the quick twitch.
The quick twitch and the ability to improvise in weird spots in the court. Right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't think Shelton is very good at that. Like he kind of plays like Sabalenka.
He does. Right?
That's
interesting. That's interesting. VA does.
He plays like Sabalenka, but Sabalenka's game doesn't fly on the ATP tour. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
Yep. So, how about We should talk a little bit about Monterino, like a free fall. It's
Yeah, I don't know what's up there. I really don't know what's up there. It's been absolutely horrendous. I don't know what's up there. I'd be really interested to have some insider information on him because ever since like you understand the Clay's gonna go badly for him. So like I had no alarms after the Clay, but it's been a nightmare. Like on a server on grass where he should be good, it has been an absolute nightmare.
yeah, I think it's age catching up to him. I don't know, it might be that injury that he suffered in Miami.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, on the grass this year, he won a set in one match. And that's the set where that's the match where he was down a set in 2 breaks against Stefano Napolitano.
Yeah, that says it all. That says it
No, that
all.
says it all. Like,
I know.
and that's the only match where that's the only match he won on grass this year. He's at 1-3. He lost to Brower 2-0, Dimitrov 1-2, and Mickelson 2-0. Like, that's just not like, yeah, it's
yeah.
I honestly haven't even seen any of his matches because he's done so quickly you don't even get to see him.
It's true. That's true. How about Monfils? He's athletic and not quick, right? Well, he's quick on his feet, but he's not like quick twitched, right?
Oh, I don't know. I actually think he is pretty quick twitched. I would disagree with that statement.
Okay.
I also think like I was really impressed by the tennis IQ that Monfils showed against Tabilo today. Like he was playing different strategies, just like depending on which side of the net he was on, which Tabilo wasn't doing. Like I actually like.
I mean, I don't think Monfils is actually a pretty good tactical player, to be honest. Like we saw a match versus Thompson
When he played when he made some really good tactical adjustments. Yeah,
he did.
I agree. I think he's, I think he gets like. I think it like he's gone. Maybe not. It's hard to say, but like
the athleticism overshadows any tactical adjustment or any like tennis IQ that he has.
yes, yeah,
Right.
but his tennis IQ is actually really good.
It's pretty good, but I see my theory on Monfils is like his IQ, his tennis IQ is good and his athleticism is good. But I always thought that his fitness was horrible. And I think that that's the downfall of his career. Is his like physical fitness. Like being athletic and being you talk about being athletic and quick is different. The difference between being athletic and fit is totally different too.
Yep. I mean, look at Mariano Navone.
Right. Exactly.
I don't think he's a great athlete, but he's incredibly fit.
Exactly. So that's Monfils, I think. And like I think we also talk about the fact that like hitting the ball hard, like ball after ball, like hitting the ball side to side and getting your feet set takes more energy than running side to side. And that's why I think Monfils reverts to defensive strategies and ends up being very passive, like late in matches, is because of that inability to kind of take offense like when he needs to, because he's not fit enough to do it.
I think there's definitely a piece of that, Manny, that's definitely true. He's also a really good defender. And I think he's won a lot of matches just running around and getting balls back.
That's true. That's true too. Like it probably plays both ways.
Yeah.
I
think both can be true here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just such a hard guy to judge at this point in career because, like, to your point, like now more than ever, his match fitness is not always there. So there's days when he just doesn't show up. Like,
right. And
yeah, I mean, that's one way to say it because, like, he was pretty good in this tournament. I'm not going to say he was amazing, but he was pretty good in this tournament. But like, what happened to all clay season?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Like,
yeah, wasn't he? Didn't he have some kind of injury though?
maybe you might be right. I don't remember, but like, yeah, he also plays less than the average guy nowadays. You know, like he still plays a little bit, but like he or still plays a decent amount actually. But I don't feel like he plays as much as like some other guys play.
You think now, like, you know, that his fitness is probably like even taken a bigger hit than like in the prime of his career? Like, do you think he needs faster surfaces now to be successful?
Yeah. You know, honestly, again, it goes back to the same thing we talked about before. Like the theory, right? The theory is that like, oh, if you're in like, you know, if you're really fast, like you're going to be good on clay, you're going to get a lot of balls back, and the court's slow, so it's all about getting a lot of balls back. That doesn't play in my mind. It actually plays where you need to actually have more offensive ground strokes. Like maybe the serve doesn't play up on clay, but you need to have like big weapons to be able to hit through the court. Whereas like grass, you get a little bit of help from the court, and like that's why I think like Monfils, like his tennis IQ really helps him on grass. Because like ironically, like I don't know if you saw the match against Tabilo today, like all the bunting and stuff he was doing was genius on that court.
It is.
It's like Tabilo's being thrown off by all the shitty bounces.
Right.
Monfils wasn't.
Right. Right. Yeah, because he was just content with just bunting the ball back and just like letting the court kind of
Do his
cause
thing.
Tabilo problems, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Tabilo is the way better player, and that's why he won that match at the end, right? But like,
Yeah.
due to Monfils' tennis IQ, that match was 50-50 when it really shouldn't
And
have.
Monfils and Tabilo actually played a really good tiebreak. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta give Tabilo credit. Like, I love, you know, we like he was really good in that tiebreak. Like he took advantage of opportunities, but he put away a lot of points offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like he finished, I think, 2 points in net that were pretty sick. Like the one cross court volley
Yeah.
was nasty.
The one where
like
he
at
went
that score.
behind Monfils too, right? Like
Yeah.
Monfils was cutting the other way and like yeah, it was an impressive tiebreak for sure. For sure. So
and we've got our we have our future. I have 18-1. I looked up. I couldn't remember what I thought. I had 16. I had 18-1.
Wow, I got 14-1.
Yeah,
so a little
later
than you did.
Yeah, but
it may have been after Paul. Well, was Paul in Eastbourne? Yeah, Paul was in Eastbourne.
Yeah, Paul was Eastbourne. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been I mean, I thought Tabilo would do well on this surface because it's kind of like a mix of clay and grass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the serve isn't as important. The serve does kind of it still plays, but it's not as important. Tabilo, like he's just a really solid player. I don't know what else to say about him at this point. He's just like a really, really good tennis player.
He's a good all-around player. Like
he does make some mistakes. He still needs to like his consistency could improve. But but he's a really solid all-around player. Like I think he's like we talk about this a lot, man. A lot of these guys really are all quarters. You know, we get like really into surface, but a lot of guys are really pretty much all quarters. Like,
well, I think Tabilo sometimes he just gets he's almost too offensive. Like he has the opposite problem Monfils, whereas Monfils gets too defensive, whereas Tabilo, I think he gets too offensive and like he doesn't play within his limit, and that's when he starts making errors.
I agree.
You know? And
on top of it, he made some really stupid errors against Monfils today. We're like yeah. All you got to do is just make the ball, dude. Like
you need to make Monfils run around the court like 4, 5, 6 times because like winning one of those points against Monfils is going to win you 2 or 3, and that's what happened when he got that break in the second set. You know, where he just kind of
once he gave the break, I'm convinced once he got the break in the second set, Monfils just punted the set away.
Exactly. But that's the thing when you play Monfils, his fitness is bad. So like sometimes doing the right thing for 1 or 2 points is going to win you like 3 or 4 cumulatively.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing you have to understand with Monfils. But like the thing with Tabilo, his upside is tremendous because we saw in Rome when he played Zverev in that first set, you know, in that semifinal, like when he's playing his best and he's like playing that crazy offensive style, like, and his redlining, like his upside is tremendous.
Well, I mean, I also saw him come within 2 points of being Dimitrov in straight sets at the Miami Open.
Oh yeah,
he was up 5-2. I think too many breaks in the tiebreak.
Good point. Good point.
One or too many breaks in the tiebreak against
and Dimitrov played him the tournament, like he made the final
match. But
yeah, that's.
But
true.
he was that close to beating Dimitrov, who's a borderline top 10 guy. I mean, I think Dimitrov's actually in the top 10. So yeah, I mean, Tabilo's got the skills, man. I as a player, I like him. I'm happy I finally got a futures on him because he did take my money against Zhang back in Rome. So I'm happy he'll at least maybe if he wins tomorrow, he'll give me 15 units back, and I'd be pretty happy. So
he's good in he holds good futures value because I don't think the market has fully caught on to him. Maybe on clay they have, but like on no, I
don't think they have yet. Remember the guy we got him in Santiago?
What was he in Santiago?
When we get him to win the quarter, he was like something like plus like 260 to win a quarter, and he was like the 4 seed.
I feel like on clay, but that was before the Rome run, right? So like I think now,
but he won Adelaide. Well, he won a tournament earlier this year at 250.
He's, as you say, he's an all quarter, but I think the market views him more as a clay quarter, and since he had such limited experience on grass, that's why we got such a good price.
Oh, I 100% agree, Manny. 1,000% agree. 1,000%.
Yeah. Anything else in Mallorca you want to touch on?
Let me look through the draw quickly.
Job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about him. All I saw was that he beat Shelton, so good for him. But
yeah,
he's a decent grass court. I don't know. I
was so pissed. I bet Shelton at plus 350 down to set in the break. And I still think it was a fantastic bet. Like I have no regrets on it.
Yeah.
It's like sucks that it didn't cash.
Yeah, that's it. Honestly, it was such a wimpy draw. Like there's really nothing else worth talking about.
I guess we could talk.
I mean, Mickelson, honestly, I talked about it. Like, well, I'll talk about one more guy from Mallorca. Mickelson seems to have flatlined, man.
Flat what?
Mickelson seems to have flatlined at this level between like, this like borderline ATP level player for the past maybe 3-4 months. And I know some of that was clay, but I thought he'd do better on the grass.
I mean, you would think he has the game for grass. I don't know. I view him as like somewhere between like 60 and 80 in the world. Like that's what he is, and like he had the talent and the ability to get to that point, and he kind of bursted on the scene. But like to get any further than that is like it's going to take a lot. Like he's going to have to become a better athlete. He's going to have to become a way better mover. He's going to have to get better mentally. Like, and those are the toughest things to improve. So
that's what I'll go back to. I really think like he should have played a year at Georgia. I think the college scene would have helped him a lot, like just from development. It would have given him a year to focus in a slightly lower stress environment for him on development. And like there you could focus on the athletic facilities. Like you get the University of Georgia athletic facilities. Like spend a year or two and use those to just become a better athlete.
Well, that's his biggest problem. He's a terrible athlete relative to ATP level competition. Like I actually think he has a very, very high tennis IQ. And I agree. He does, and I think that's his biggest strength, honestly. Like he constructs points really well. I think like he just knows what to do on the court. It's just that the athletic ability is just a terrible.
Yeah.
Like he looks sluggish. His serve is like deceptive, but it's not that great. And I don't think and he doesn't really back it up that well. And if he has to move side to side, he has to run corners. Forget it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
That's my take on him.
That was my last take for
Yeah.
Mallorca to talk about. So moving on to Eastbourne. How
Okay.
about the British takeover here, man? First of all, like the crappiness of the draw. But secondly, like, how about the British takeover? Like, you had Billy Harris make a semifinal.
But he did well in
And that
Queens
was
too. He made a quarterfinal there as well.
yeah, I still don't really understand how he's done this well. I've watched him and like I'm not that impressed.
It's nothing that special. I mean, like we saw a run from like Peniston. Didn't he do something at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Like
And
these
look, he
other
beat
stats kind of
Charles
show
Broom
up
in
for
3 sets, and he
too.
won that match against Capoli when he kind of escaped.
Yeah,
Like,
it's disappointing. I lost my Kaboli futures.
but then he lost to Purcell today. So like I don't think it like
But that was
I'm
really a
not like
50-50 match, honestly.
no, I just think he's like, like this peak level from Billy Harris is still like bottom level ATP.
Agree.
Like it's just like funny when you see Purcell versus Harris in like an ATP semifinal. Like
It is. It
I
is.
mean the bottom half was a disaster as soon as Paul withdrew. Again, we talked about it in our pre-tournament pod. The two C's that didn't withdraw were Navone and Baez on grass. Like
It's comical. It's
there was
comical.
no seeded player in this draw in the bottom half.
So I
Like
lost my Kaboli plus 550 futures, but like that is tremendous value in that quarter. Like I have no regrets on that bet whatsoever. I would place it probably at plus 200 because
I mean, I agree. It was a missed opportunity by me. Like, I mean, I guess it was a missed opportunity to lose, but
yeah.
like that bet cashes way more than 1 out of every 6.5 times.
Oh yeah, the value on that was amazing because like the chances that Paul, I think you underestimated the chances of Paul not playing.
Yeah, I completely did. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I underestimated it. I just was like scared. Like, that's why I'm so pissed about it. It wasn't even like I went back and did the math on it based on what I had thought. And I just like originally was like, oh, I'm not going to touch it because I don't know what Paul's doing. And like once I went back and did the math, like the math showed me that Kabuli would have been value. And I was just like it's just like
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where like I was just like, yeah.
Well, I think another thing that could have scared you off that is the fact that he had to play Rinderneck first round, right?
Um, I mean, I think that's a real thing that should have been put into play. But like, I don't think he's that much better than Rinderneck. It's more, you know what I mean? Like, I probably would have. Okay,
So
I don't know
I
about
could see
grass.
how you think he, is similar, especially on grass.
Yeah, I think in this tournament, like these grass court matches, like there's just a lot more 50, like not I want to say 50-50, but a lot more like they're the gap is much less than clay, right? Grass helps underdogs.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Um, but yeah, otherwise, I mean, Max Purcell makes a final, which is kind of amazing. Um, Especially because I don't even know that he played that well. Like he's a good game for grass, but again, that bottom half, honestly, it's not even worth talking about. That bottom half was such a disaster. Like it's more of like somebody had to advance.
Yeah, and he took advantage of the opportunity, and he has a good game for grass, right? Like he kind of
Yeah.
with the aggressive game with the serve and good volleys and stuff. I think we have to talk about Fritz because like that's the main guy, kind of the main guy here. And I mean, 5 of his 6 sets have been tie breaks that he's played this week. And the last 2 matches against Vukic and against Shang, I think we're both 6-6.
Yeah, so I've got a take here, and I was waiting for you to bring it up. I was going to bring it up, but I'll talk about it now. He's not quick. Like he's the perfect example of a guy whose return on grass is a problem because he's just not quick. Like it's when the ball skids in, like he's just not quick enough to like he's got to be able to take full swings.
So he has basically a Hubie problem.
Hubie's problem is different. Hubie's just not aggressive enough also. Like the problem with Fritz is like he's truly like he's just not quick enough to like because he's done amazing on serve this week. I don't know if we've seen like he's winning like I don't know what he won against Vukic today. Actually wasn't as good. I think Vukic actually did get into some of his service games, but I'll look it up. It wasn't bad, I'm sure. But I don't know if you saw. So Vilch, Sibel Vilch won 5 points against his serve in the first round.
Wow.
Yeah, Fritz won 79% of service points today, 85% of service points in the quarters, and I think like close to 90, maybe over 90 against Seaboth Vilch. So he's still like 80 to 85% of service points won for the tournament. So like he's been dominant on serve. I mean, that's insane. You think that Isner was like between 70 and 75% for his career, and Fritz is winning like 80.
So has Fritz only broken one time this entire tournament?
I didn't even realize he was broken once. Who broke him?
No. No, he only broke serve once. I think it was against Welch in the first round.
Correct. Yes, he's had one break. There's been one break in his 3 matches. In 6 sets, there's been one break.
Wow. I wonder, like none of my books here have break props, but I wonder what his prop for the final would be for not getting broken.
Yeah, I wonder too.
Because if that's anything, and like Purcell's not a good returner either. Like if that's anything plus money, I would hammer that.
Yeah, he should not get broken.
Right. And it's like even if he has like a 15-30 or 15, like I'm not that worried. It's crazy. It's just like but yeah, you're right. He's just not that impressive. And like if you think about last year grass court season, especially Wimbledon, like he got crushed by Michael Ymer in those final 3 sets. You remember that match?
Yeah, I just don't like he's not quick. So like the return is a real problem. From like service games, he's fine. Because he can just crank that serve and hold serve and like he can get on the offensive. The guys like have to, guys have to like give him returns that are more like clean, but like when he's on the defensive on grass and he gets bad bounces and like skids and things, like he's not quick enough to respond.
Yeah.
Like it's not surprising that like all these matches are going to tie breaks all the time. Because he's not well designed to like really play grass court tennis. His best surface is hard courts. When the ball bounces up and he can still move well on them.
And he's actually not that bad on clay, honestly.
He's not. Well, as long as he doesn't have to run, like, if he can just run side to side and hit ground strokes, he's fantastic.
Right. But the drop shot is such a big part of clay court tennis on the men's tour. It's just like.
And I think it's more that he has none.
Yeah, he has none. That's true. That's true. He has no feel.
Like, he actually, like, I gotta give credit to Fritz on this. Like, he does try. He really puts everything into his game that he's got. Like, he actually, we talk about bias being a coach's dream, but I actually think Fritz is a coach's dream too.
Yeah, and it surprises me how seriously he takes his tennis career. Like he lives and breathes tennis, and he never cheats the game. Like he could easily, as a top, like near top 10 player, be like, fuck this 250. I'm going to to SW19 and like getting ready for Wimbledon. But like, no, he's like grinding away and like playing tie breaks against Vukic.
Yeah.
Like you gotta tip your cap, like that deserves respect that I don't think he's really getting.
I agree completely. Yeah.
Like think about Paul. Like I know he won the 500 last week, but he tapped out.
I do think if Fritz won Queens Club, he would tap out too.
Okay. All right. I guess Bublik is not a good example, but like I'm trying to think of someone that like could take Fritz.
I mean, I think I don't know. I'm not convinced Tsitsipas takes every tournament seriously. I think he does when he's on the court, but when he's off the court, like in between, maybe not.
Uncle Rude.
Rude took the grass court season off and didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's an example of guys who are ranked pretty high who are a little more clowny than Fritz for sure.
Yeah, Fritz is the opposite of clown. He's like, there's nothing clown about him. Absolutely. No. Like, yeah. Like Rude's treatment of the grass court season is almost like a disrespect to like the tennis calendar.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people are going that far with it, but like I think it deserves to be criticized.
I think we could criticize more if he was seen as a top player, to be honest. It's just like, like honestly, like look, you saw the promo ad for like Wimbledon, like the players are ready. Like what players did they mention? Like Tiafoe, Sinner, Alcaraz? Did they even mention anybody else?
I don't think so.
Right? Like it's just like tennis just doesn't like nobody cares about Casper Ruud.
So someone has to call him out. So I guess we will.
We'll call him out. Yeah.
But yeah, credit to Fritz, man. Credit to Fritz. I'm rooting for him tomorrow. I was actually I was thinking about placing the bet. I didn't pounce on it, but I should have honestly was before the semis to bet him to win the title at -125. It's probably a good bet, right? Considering he had
I think so. Like, yeah. But then again, like he's playing so many tie breaks, man. It's
True. I'm very curious to see what you have from a betting perspective in that final against Purcell. But let's finish recapping. Talked about Kaboli, talked about Harris. Jerry Shank, what's your take on him? On grass.
I mean, I'm not sure I was particularly impressed. Like, like, okay, so like, I mean, he beat Rusevori and Echeverry, like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I think he's at least, I think he's like, he's had okay results, I think, in all the serves. I just think he's a very okay player, Like, I mean, he's got a long way to develop. He's a young kid, so like let give him time to develop. I think. He's what 18 or 19. Like,
yeah,
give him time. Like,
yeah. I think that about covers it, right? Pretty much.
Thought Bukic had a good week. Thought Bukic actually played pretty well. He kind of showed me a little more than I expected, especially today against Fritz.
I like the way he manages his backhand now.
He's definitely gotten a lot better with that, yeah.
No, like it's obviously not a great backhand, but like he manages that weakness very well. Like,
yep.
And it's he's taken a page out of Berrettini's book.
He has. I agree.
No,
I agree.
I'm like, if I was Vukic, that's the guy I would try to model my game off of.
I completely agree. That's a great point, Manny.
So,
yeah. All right. That's all I got from Eastbourne.
Okay.
Not much else. These warm-ups, unfortunately, like I feel like these warm-ups are like actually like the weakest. Like I feel like the French warm-ups were a little bit better for whatever reason. And not just Djokovic, but they were just like a little bit better like draws. Like these were pretty weak.
I think more guys kind of gear their season towards the clay. I think it's more common and like
You're right.
I also think like it's a lower ranked guys feel like it's a better opportunity to gain points there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think that the hype before Wimbledon is bigger than the hype before the French. Like Wimbledon is still known as the crowning jewel. Like if you ask 90% of tennis players which slam they would want to win of the four, I feel like they would say Wimbledon.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like that aspect kind of removes the hype from the warm-up events and pushes it towards the slams, whereas I feel like with the French, even though like points wise it's the same, like it's not
You might be right.
like the same feel,
It's just interesting. It's interesting how there's very little I don't know. It's interesting how these and maybe it's just this year, but these were pretty weak fields.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let me share the screen. So on the Discord, you were saying that you're giving these tournaments a pass for scheduling these matches at the same time. What's your reason?
Ooh, good. I'm glad you brought this up.
What's your reasoning behind that? Because I'm not giving them a pass. Hell no.
I think it's tough. Like I don't know how many people are going to show up to like especially in something like a town like Eastbourne, right, where it's an older crew. Like I don't know how many people are showing up if they do like an 9 p.m. final, right? So they're defending their like people who want to attend the event first of all. And like people also probably don't want to get up at whatever it would be like by 11 a.m. into the tournament for like an 11 a.m. final. So if you take that out of it, like, and then some of these tournaments don't have lights, right? So like,
who's saying that it has to be at 7 or 8 p.m.?
What?
Like, there's one best of 3 match. It doesn't have to be at either 11 a.m. or 8 p.m. It could be like, make it 2 p.m. and 4 p.m.
Well, that's what I said. The second half of my statement was, I guess they could do 2 p.m., 4 p.m. That'd be slightly better. I guess the second piece of it was like, I don't know how many people for tennis, because it's year round, are really going to watch more than one consecutive match. Like, there's a few junkies, but I don't know how many people are going to sit and watch 5 or 6 hours of tennis. Call it 4 to 5 hours. Like if they do a 2 p.m. final and a 4 p.m. final, I don't know how many people are sitting and watching tennis from 2 to 7 p.m. for 250s or 500s.
I get it, but that's not the point. If you have live tennis, it doesn't matter how many people are watching it, but if you have live tennis on TV for a longer period of time, that exposes the sport to a bigger audience.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's not saying that you have to be watching all that time, but like if someone
that's fair. You get more people who would be available to watch one final or the other. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you know what else? So okay. Like I said, if it's 2 p.m. versus 4 p.m., I'll give you that. Right? I think that's fair. When there's 2 tournaments, they could work together a little bit better to space it out. But fundamentally, it's that these tournaments are all individual tournaments, right? So they don't really it's part of the problem with the ATP tours. Like they don't really communicate at all tournament to tournament.
Yeah, they don't communicate with anyone, which is a big problem with this sport. Like they don't.
There's no communication at all. You're right. The communication is horrendous.
Horrendous. They just do.
There's no communication on rain delays. There's no communication on like injuries. There's no communication to anything. You're right.
And that's the biggest problem. Like if you communicate with the other tournament and thought about like, oh, how can we reach the most viewers and like what time is good for you, what time is good for us, like to broadcast the final, like, like Tennis Channel, they don't care when they play these matches, right? They're broadcasting tennis all day long, So there's no England and Holland or England and Spain are not playing in the European Championship. So like if they were playing in the European Championships tomorrow, then I understand that you want to schedule it around that so that the viewers can watch the soccer games.
But that's a fair point, Manny. Now that you bring it up, that's a fair point because they probably do sell their tickets based on like expected time slots, And they're selling those tickets probably months out.
That's probably the biggest reason, I guess, because like the soccer starts at noon. Right? So they want to like make sure that these matches are done for the, like the channels to get full soccer coverage.
I think it's also just like
that's probably the reason. Even though
these tournaments make a ton of money off of their fans, right? And off of ticket holders. And like they also probably they kind of have to determine pretty far out what their time slot's going to be probably for those biggest matches, those semis and those finals, right? They have to be able to say, okay, like this ticket is a 2 p.m. ticket. Because if you're a fan, you'd want to know if it's a 2 p.m. final or a 4 p.m. final, like when you buy the ticket, no?
Well, Eastbourne also has a women's final before, but I think you could have kept this one at 9:30 and then maybe make the Mallorca one earlier. You know, because they're starting at 3 p.m. or 2 p.m. So you make that at noon, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. Noon feels early for a final. This is why I go back to, I guess I agree and disagree. You know, like I get your point overall. I think you're theoretically right. I think it's a lot to ask. But then again, like you go back to like, I don't know, American sports, right? Like the NBA doesn't seem to have a problem getting 4 games on Christmas Day.
Exactly.
Like the NFL doesn't seem to have a problem with like playoff games overlapping times.
And no one says that you have to be sitting on your couch watching these 2 matches consecutively. Like there's no one tying you down, right? Like
you just want to have live men's tennis finals on as long as possible.
Yeah.
I theoretically agree. It requires effort and coordination, but I theoretically agree. I get your point.
Yeah, effort and coordination, which they're not willing to do. So
yeah.
Is there rain tomorrow? Maybe we can get it staggered like by by committee.
Good question.
No, unfortunately not. Eastbourne is no rain. And Mallorca's no rain. It's just windy. Ooh, Mallorca's windy. Gusts up to 34 miles per hour. That's substantial.
I think that's bad for both of them. I don't love either of these guys in the wing, to be honest.
Yeah, it's bad for both. It's bad for both. I think that slightly favors Tabilo. Slightly.
I might go the other way. I might say it just favors the dog as an equalizer.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's not good for our futures. But let's start with the Eastbourne final, Fritz and Purcell. So Purcell is plus 350 on the money line, a 3.5 game dog. The over-under is 23. So are you backing this the trend of tie breaks with Fritz?
Yeah, I mean that's my plan. So do they have the lineup yet for over 0.5 tie breaks for the match?
They do. I think I saw minus 135 as you predicted.
Really? Because that's what I posted would be in the Discord. I like when I'm right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my bet right there. Over 0.5 tie breaks at minus 135. I'm on that. And that's probably my only bet for this match.
See, I prefer the set one. Because I was thinking about it, but like I think the returning tends to be worse for Fritz in the first set. Because he's still kind of getting used to the ball that's coming at him, and like the fact that he's not like super coordinated, I think like it's more problematic early in the match. And then
I'm probably gonna bet both of them, to be honest. I'll probably I don't know, man. Depends how much of a degenerate I am. Like, am I gonna split my unit or am I gonna go 2 units?
Yeah.
I might go 2 units. I might go 1 unit on each, 1 unit on the first set and 1 unit on the over 0.5, but I like tie breaks here personally. He's
played tie breaks in all the first set. Like the one tie break he didn't play was he broke, and it was in the second set. Right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the price difference between plus 210 and minus 135 is substantial enough where I'm willing to take that.
Like, I mean, honestly, the book is. So I kind of like, again, I predicted the line would be minus 135 for it. I think the lines are pretty well correlated here. I don't think there's any like big advantage to one versus the other.
Okay. I'm also gonna play the.
I think my point is, Manny, like I'll say it the other way. The qualitative point that you brought up would be the trumping point. If you were debating one versus the other, you'd be looking at these qualitative points, not like, oh, there's a chance, there's a 30% chance of tiebreak in every set. Like that's basically what the book's telling you.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, the one match that they did play head to head was
It
in
was
Buffalo.
7-6, 7-6 Fritz. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So, and I kind of like the plus 3.5 here as well. Like,
I prefer the tie breaks.
I probably slightly prefer that too.
Like you need a tie break to cover 3.5. You need a tie break, or you need Purcell to win a set. I don't really know that I see Purcell breaking Fritz and winning a set like 6-4. So then you need a tie break. So that's why I'm on the tie breaks.
Yeah, Piranha's on it too, and he's usually on top of like the serve first stats because I think that makes a big difference with the 3.5.
But it really doesn't. Like that's kind of a lie. Because if you think about it, like with 3.5, like if it's gonna be a 2-set match,
If the first set
like
is a tiebreak, then the other the Purcell would start serving. Like it,
exactly.
right.
So you're betting on like which set's gonna be the tiebreak set.
But the problem is that if Fritz breaks in the first set and the first set is 6-3, then you're pretty much screwed. Because then Purcell has to win the second for you to hit that bet.
That's why I just prefer like there's no way for that 3.5 to hit unless Purcell forces a tiebreak or wins a set. Right, which is why I just prefer the tiebreak bets over these spread bets.
I agree.
I think like if I had to make a choice, I would take Purcell at the plus 3.5. I completely agreed. I just think the tiebreak bets are better than the Purcell bet than betting on Purcell plus 3.5. Like usually, if I'm gonna take a guy on a spread, I like it like to believe he's gonna win. You know, we talked about this before, Manny, right? Like not believe he's gonna win, but believe he's like really live. I do think Fritz is gonna win this match. Just a matter of like how many times can he break Purcell. And the number might be one,
Probably
like, or it might be zero,
probably
to
one.
be honest. What?
It's probably one.
Yeah.
So yeah. How about the Fritz to win every set 7-6 at 18-1?
I just don't like the odd there. It's not a fantastic price. Like, right? If the books are telling you that if the books are willing to give you 3-1 on each set for a tiebreak,
Mm-hmm.
like the math just tells you like that's 1 out of 19, so it's like 1 out of every 4.3 sets has to be Fritz 7-6. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I would prefer like
I just think there's better ways to attack it, you know?
yeah. I think the one of the worst lines is the over 10.5 at plus 140. I would much rather just take the over 12.5 at plus 210.
Yeah, I don't think Fritz has shown any great ability to break at 5-all. I agree.
No. And like, yes, I do think Fritz has a like a mental edge here, but not really.
I think he's also just a better tennis player, right? Like Fritz absolutely should win this match.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna play the tiebreak angle. No GBM, right?
I don't think so, no.
No. All right. And then Offner Tabilo, I did bring up the wind angle. So this is going to be pretty windy in Mallorca tomorrow. Offner is a plus 125
Is it
dog.
going to be windy in Eastbourne before we just leave that final?
Let me check. Um, yeah, standard like 2 to 5 mile per hour with gusts up to 11.
Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah, it's negligible. But this one, it's worth mentioning because gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Offner Tabilo. Offner is a plus 125 dog, plus 1.5 on the spread. The over under is 25. Tabilo is minus 150. So are you hedging?
No, no. I mean, honestly, this line is moving to the point. Like this line started, I think, closer to 2. Like this line started closer to 2, and it's been moving. But I think the win might be included in that. I think the market has been almost dead right, to be honest. Like I would be on the Tabilo side of this, but the win concerns me just because I think the win gives I think the win makes it more 50-50.
Yeah, I don't trust Offner mentally. And that's why, like, if I didn't have the futures, like I'm not hedging as well. And if I didn't have the futures, I'd probably play Tabilo minus the 1.5 games. I just think he's just better. And like,
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think Offner will be able to hold serve, but like so will Tabilo. And like I give Tabilo a better chance of manufacturing a break. I just think he's better suited to like manage bad bounces and just like the wind. Like I don't think Offner is like a good enough athlete to deal with all that, you know? Against
I just
the
don't want it to be those game styles the best for wind either. We talked about it kind of in the recap section. I don't necessarily like either of these players in these conditions. So I'm just gonna
I kind of like both players to face a break point in their opening service game at 15-1.
That's not like that's less terrible than it usually is. It's hard for me to evaluate. Like I didn't even think about that line without really thinking about it. It's hard for me to quantify if that like really makes sense or not. But I like the idea of it. Like in like potentially difficult conditions, I like the idea of it.
Difficult conditions, like Offner might be tight, right? Big match for both guys. Tabilo got broken first game of the match today against Monfils. Like, he didn't come out very sharp. So I'm probably gonna put half a unit on that. Just for funsies.
Yeah. I don't like it makes sense qualitatively.
Yeah. Has Offner been like breaking serve at a decent clip this week?
I mean, he must be because he's winning. He's like winning. He's winning matches. Like
So against Job, what,
he
6-4-5?
won 6-4-7-5 against Jubb. So I think that was. I'm pretty sure that was one break each set. Mickelson, he won 3-6-7-5-6-3. I think that was similar. I'll check the stats real quick.
He broke twice, but he only had 3 break
Wow,
points.
he actually got pretty badly outplayed by Mickelson. I didn't realize this. He saved 8 of 9 break points against Mickelson and converted 2 of 3 of his own break points. Mickelson beat him on return points 36-30.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting.
He dominated Darderi. He won 32% of first serve return points, 42% of second serve return points, and he had 6 break points and converted 3.
Yeah.
And then I'm not really going to count Munar because like Tabilo is a way better server.
Oh, then Munar.
Yeah.
It is amazing that he had to get through that first round match against Munar.
In a third set breaker.
Yeah, now he's like made this run to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
He only had 5 break points against Munar. That's not great. He only won 25% of return points against Munar. First serve return points against Munar.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it needs to be a little slightly better price, but I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Yeah.
I get the thought. I understand the thought. I would just, like I said, I just want a better price to take, like a slightly, given the wind conditions, I'd want a slightly better price to back Tabilo, but it's Tabilo or nothing. Like I would never back off where this price is
I
at.
kind
I'll
of
give you
like
that.
the under half a tie break at plus 125 given the win.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, makes sense. Plus, both those guys are error prone enough to give away a break.
Like, how is this match over half a tiebreak minus 165 and the Fritz match minus 135? Like that makes no sense to me.
No, I mean the reasoning is because in one match these two guys are much more equal players than Fritz and Purcell. I'm not saying it's correct, Manny, but I'm saying that's the reason.
Okay. I'm not very high on Offner. That's like I feel like you're slightly higher than I am on Offner.
Probably true.
So I know. I did back him today against Joe, but yeah, the win definitely plays a factor here in the I'm gonna play the under half a tiebreak. I really like that bet. Plus 125. I just also think nerves are gonna come into play. Like if it's 4-all.
It very well could. I mean that very well could be the difference. I do think often or I would trust to be a little more in a tight situation. It's so close. I might end up backing Tabilo. I might have to, especially if the line moves any further. I might have to back Tabilo. It's just like
You already have 18. You have already 1 unit to win 18.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna double down?
I'm gonna what?
You're gonna double down?
Double down 1 unit to win one of my 1 unit to win 18. Like, I don't know. I'm not hedging. I can say that
No,
much.
I don't want to hedge. Yeah, me neither. Yeah. All right. Well, so big day tomorrow, potentially, right? 9 a.m.
Yeah, the funny thing is I'm not gonna be able to watch it. I'm actually going to play tennis in the morning.
Oh man. Okay.
But we'll see. I might be done like an hour and a half, so I might be back in time. But if it's like a third set, I'll probably be back in time for the third set. So that's exciting.
Okay. All right. It's good. So tomorrow, big Wimbledon pod. We're gonna be recording around like 7 p.m. Eastern time, so probably like late tomorrow. So we'll post all our picks on X. We'll be on the Discord. I'll be sweating these two matches tomorrow. We're gonna do a fantasy draft, right? Like a fun activity.
Yeah, we got a little activity. We got a little surprise activity in there. Yeah. We always do that for these pods, man.
Oh, yeah.
For these, yeah.
True tennis junkies at work.
We are the most junky. You are the most junky of tennis junkies, but I'm not far behind you.
Yeah. But the draft is going to be a lot of fun. The topic of the draft is going to be a surprise, but we're looking forward to that. I got to do my homework.
Me too. I got to do my homework too.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks for good night.
All the best. Take care.
Yep. Good luck. Yeah.